since you've been gone, all hell has broken loose at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Leiweke, who you may have heard is the new top dog.
Oh, is this the interview with Bloomberg?
Nah, well, I don't know. Was it? I don't know where it
so.
came from.
Yeah, no, I read about this today.
So now, well, he's got all kinds of things going on, but he says, and I'm not quoting him directly. He says the past is the past, and we're going to get rid of all the references to the past. So all the pictures of Johnny Bauer and the 60, 3, 4, 5, or no, I guess it's 4, 5, 6, 7, or whoever it was. All those cups.
Yes.
So long ago, I can't even remember the years. And all those, iconic players. Apparently, their pictures are going to be ripped down from the walls at the Air Canada Centre. Now, on a personal level, this is of really no consequence to me whatsoever. I barely go to the Air Canada Centre, and when I do go, I march into wherever it is my appointed seat is, and I don't spend much time looking around. Now, I used to know where all the pictures were at the old Maple Leaf Gardens, right? Because they were in the lobby on the main floor hanging up on the walls.
Yep.
I don't know where they got them now. They're somewhere, I'm sure, but I don't know where. So I'm not going to, on a personal level, I could care less. But it's like this, this new sheriff marches into town and decides to eliminate everything that happened before he got here with no reference or deference to a long and storied history. And I got news for him. If it wasn't for that long and storied history, this would be nothing more than a pathetic, useless organization.
True, but
yes.
I think I think that is that's a ham-handed thing to suggest and to do. If he actually follows through with it, it's not. It's kind of pointless, and it's going to wind people up for no good reason. But that said,
already did.
Yeah, but this is also an organization that has wallowed in nostalgia for these many decades because it didn't have much of a present to talk about. That has played the 1967 card as though it were yesterday, even though you got to be old to remember it. Was endlessly recycling whatever old guy was in the building so they could flip his picture on the screen and say, "Look, Bill Derlego's here."
Yeah.
Now
wait, not Builder. Well, they may have.
No, they did. No,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like Bill Derlego, fine guy. Rick Vive, fine guy. Matt Sundin, fine guy. Never won a damn thing. Any of them.
And a lot of crappy teams.
Yeah. So honoring them, well, I got no time for that. I thought that was a joke anyway. But to take down the pictures and the memorabilia from Bill Barilko or Dave Keon or Johnny Bauer or Frank Mahovlich, I mean, why? What are you going to put up in its place?
Again, I understand the kind of symbolism of saying we're going to have a present now. That we're not just going to market the past over and over and over again, and we're not going to just rest on our historic laurels here and say, boy, it wasn't great way back when we were winning Stanley Cups. So I understand the symbolic message that he's trying to send, which is that it's about what happens from now on, not what happened 45, 50 years ago. But you've got to embrace. It's embrace that history without maybe wallowing in it. And I don't. He said a lot of things in that interview, though, Bob. He's a very confident guy, and
he's arrogant.
Yeah, well, that's probably true. But that's the reason they hired him was because they must believe that he is the guy who's going to make magic down there. Not just in hockey, but in basketball and in soccer and in all of the many things they do. Maybe bringing an NFL team to Toronto because that was part of his spiel as well. Oh yeah, right. Here comes another great savior going to bring us an NFL team. Well, but they what he's selling, the many bosses and co-owners of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment were obviously buying. One guy bought it. Well, but it's like one-stop shopping here, right? They brought in a guy who said, "I'll fix the whole Megillah." Yeah, right. You're going to win. You're going to win in hockey. You're going to win in basketball. We're going to bring a David Beckham guy in soccer. Yeah. And plus, we can do this other stuff. So, if he's thrown down here, and if he doesn't deliver, we'll all be able to go back. How many years from now? 5 years from now? 10 years from now? And say, boy, what were they thinking? Yeah. Well, how's that going so far? That this new era under Leiweke. Let's see. So the Leafs haven't played a game, although.
he sort of was here for the great collapse, the greatest collapse in the history of the Maple Leafs. He wasn't here for the end. Well, he might have been here for the end of the Raptors season, and then he fired Colangelo.
Yeah.
And finally admitted he fired him because he didn't like him.
Yes.
Which is a great reason to fire somebody, right?
Well, and I think that's the one thing if you're going to say what's he done so far, he ran Brian Colangelo out of town, and there were people who thought it was time to run Brian Colangelo.
Well, I mean, I get that, but I mean, I would like to think you fired him for some reason other than you didn't like him.
Yeah, I
mean, even if that was the reason, I don't really want to know that that's the reason. I'd like to think you looked at his record, looked at his plan, disagreed with his plan, and reflected on his record and said, we can do better. And that's why you made the decision, not because you didn't like him.
Well, and I would think that again, I don't know if that was why they got him out of the basketball or out of that phony baloney ceremonial post they had him in after they decided he wasn't going to run the basketball team anymore. But, obviously you brought in a guy who has been very active in dismantling Brian Colangelo, what Brian Colangelo built, probably for the better, almost certainly for the better. So, they've already kind of repudiated him as a basketball guy. So whether or not he liked him or not is kind of beside the point.
So the only franchise that really he has legitimately overseen so far are the TFCs.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Well, they're getting rid of people left and right still.
Yeah, well, they've been doing that since the day they started. Here's what I know. 18 games under Mr. Leiweke. They have 2 wins and are second last.
Yes.
That's what I know.
Yeah, well, they were bad before he got here. So
yeah, well, how's the fixing going?
Well, the interesting moment there is going to be he has essentially promised that he'll deliver a famous player,
great
marquee guy. There's been talk about Diego Forlan coming in. If he can pull that off and bring in a guy who can still play and who is a transformative figure on that team, then the soccer crowd will be thrilled.
How about a win?
Well, a win would be good, but I think I don't think there's anything you can do in the middle of this season, the way that league works, to make it better. They're toast. They were toast a month ago. They're not going to. They're out of it this year, and I know that they've been out of it every year, so it's not much different. But his thing in LA was Beckham, and not only did Beckham sell a lot of jerseys, they won. So, not just because of him, but because they built a good team and they hired the right coach and all kinds of stuff. So, I'll give him some rope on that one, but it obviously hasn't. I didn't expect it to happen yet.
Yeah. Well, he's not endearing himself to me.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like he's endearing himself to much of anybody. It's tough to go into a town where you're the outsider and say,
I'm smarter than all you people. Yeah.
Yeah, the heck with your nostalgia and memories and warm and cozy feelings about Johnny Bauer.
We don't care about that.
So he obviously doesn't care about offending people. But maybe there may be a point later on where we say, well, that's exactly what you needed. You needed somebody who wasn't beholden to the past, wasn't beholden to the culture, who created a different one. We'll see.
Yeah, not so sure.